We have now solved quadratic equations by factoring, by using the quadratic formula, and by completing the square. Today we are going to do it graphically. These are the steps to follow when you do it by graphically. You're going to find the axis of symmetry. From there you're going to make a chart using the axis of symmetry and 3 values above and 3 values below the axis of symmetry. And then use your graphing calculator to find the y values that go with it. Plot the points and connect them. And the points where the graph crosses the x-axis are your solutions, or your roots to the quadratic equation. First, we're going to do 2 problems together today. We do not have a do now problem to do afterwards, but tomorrow in class what we will do is we will do one together so I know that you know how to do the calculator. Use the calculator correctly because I can't show that on this lesson today. So, first problem. To find the axis of symmetry, use the formula as shown in step 1, negative b over 2a. Well, negative b is going to be 3 over 2a, so 2 times 1 is 3/2. Then it says make a chart. It does not look like my chart came out on this lesson, but I'll just draw it in. Okay, well 3/2 needs to go in the middle of my chart. And I need 3 numbers above and 3 numbers below. So 3/2 is like 1 1/2. So I'm going to choose whole numbers here. 1, 0, negative 1. And I'm going to choose 2, 3, and 4. Now to get your y values, what you do, if you please have your calculator in front of you. What you do is you go to the y equals button, which is the top left corner. In y1, I need you to type the equation x squared minus 3x minus 4. Just to make sure everybody's graph is set up correctly, please hit your zoom button and then 6 for Z standard. It will show you a graph at this point. I also need to make sure that your table is set up correctly. So the way you do that is you hit second window. Please make sure your table starts at 0 where it says TBL start equals 0. And then afterwards the little triangle TBL, make sure it equals 1. If that is the case, you can now hit second graph. And you need to go up on your table to see an x value of negative 1. When x is negative 1, y is 0. When x is 0, y is negative 4. When it's 1, it's negative 6. I'm going to skip 3/2 for a second. When it's 2, it's negative 6, negative 4, 0. And again, I got that right from the table of my chart. For 3/2, it's not there. What I can do if I want to use my calculator is I hit the graph button, and you'll see a picture of your parabola. And then you hit second trace. And it's going to say calculate at the top of your calculator. You want to calculate number 1, which says value. When you do that, it should say x equals, and then you have a cursor blinking at you. Well, type 3/2 or 1.5. And then enter. You should see it gives you a y value of negative 6.25. That's step 2. Step 3 is we're going to plot the points, and step 4 is we're going to determine the solutions. So I'm going to do the best I can to plot on this graph. I just don't know how well I'm going to be able to do with this. So at negative 1, you're at 0. So negative 1, 0. 0, negative 4. 1, negative 6. 1 1/2, negative 6.25, so go a little below. 2, negative 6. 3, negative 4. And 4, 0. Sorry, I know my points aren't the best. After you do that, you connect your points. Please make sure it looks like a U the best you can and not a V. You should be able to go through your points better than I did. It's just very difficult for me to do. Now, your solutions to the quadratic equation, if you see on the bottom here. Your solutions are where it crosses the x-axis. So I see it crosses the x-axis at -1 and 4. So my solutions are -1, 0, and 4, 0. If it asks for roots, which is the same idea, my roots would be at x equals -1 and x equals 4. They just want the x values there if it said roots. And that's it. Now I'm going to try to go a little bit faster on the next one here. So on this next one we have, let's move down, find the axis of symmetry. Well, it's -b/2a. So it's going to be 4 over -2, which is -2. That means in the middle of my chart, I need to make sure I have a -2. And I picked 2 numbers, or 3 numbers above, 3 numbers below. So -3, -4, -5, -1, 0, 1. Then in my graphing calculator, I type the new equation in, which is a -x squared minus 4x plus 2. And my table should be fine, so I'm just going to go second graph. I'm going to arrow up until I see an x of -5. And I see my y value is -3. When x is -4, y is 2. Keep going down, it's 5, 6, 5, 2, -3. From there I plot those points. Again, I'll just do the best that I can here. And it looks like it didn't quite come out the same way that you have on your paper, so just be careful here. So we have -5, -3, -4, 2, -4, 2, -3, 5, -2, 6, -1, 5, 0, 2, and 1, -3. Connect your points. Sorry, hard time for me to connect them. Put arrows on the end. The solutions are where the equation hits the x-axis. In this case, we can't tell. It doesn't hit at nice even numbers, and yours will look a little bit better than mine, I hope. I do know that it does hit the x-axis somewhere between 4 and 5, and also somewhere between 0 and 1. That actually would go a little bit past the 0, so it hits somewhere between 0 and 1. Now, the way we do that, we can find it in our calculator, and the way we find it in our calculator is that you go to Second Calc. You want to calculate a 0, which is number 2. It will ask for a left bound. What I need you to do is I need you to move your cursor to the bottom. Oh, let me show you with this. Around right here where my arrow is right now. So please move your cursor to around this area right here. And then hit enter. It'll ask for a right bound, so please put it above the x-axis somewhere around where my arrow is now. And hit enter. And then it's going to say guess. And you just hit enter one more time. And at the bottom, it will give you a value. And you should see that the x value is x equals negative about 4.4. You're going to do the same thing. We're going to practice it again on the right-hand side here. What you are going to do is you're going to do second trace. Number 2 is your 0. Your left bound this time is going to be above the x-axis, so somewhere where my arrow is, please put your cursor, and then you'll hit enter. And the same thing below. It's going to ask for a right bound, so you're going to go below the x-axis, somewhere where my arrow is, and hit enter. And then it's going to say guess, and you're going to hit enter one more time. And then when the x value it should give you is x equals 0.4. So those are your solutions to the equation, negative 4.4 and 0.4. Again, we'll do more of this calculator stuff tomorrow.